Hi, everyone.
Hey.
We are now going to take a quick look at the Zelda Breath of the Wild trailer. If you watched our live reactions on the Nintendo conference, which is also on this channel, both in its unedited 2-hour version and in a slightly trimmed down one.
The Pokemon-free one.
The Pokemon-free version. But now we're just going to go through the trailer. Brett here.
Open your
Henry.
eyes.
Dave. So it begins with a voiceover, which was already...
Unprecedented.
English spoken words.
English VO in a trailer that debuted in a Western friendly time zone. English dialogue right away.
So are these like the 4th, 5th, and 6th words after "Hey, listen"? And
You're right.
And what's Ganon up to? All right, but
Those
not
words
to
don't
rock.
count.
yeah. So you're being told to wake up right away,
Ooh.
like.
Look at that thing off in the distance.
Beautiful establishing shots of a
Yeah.
huge open land. Like at first pass, this looks, not unlike, oh yeah, that's probably heading into the Gerudo Valley equivalent, or and you'll probably go up there and there'll be an owl up there or some guy
It's
with
time to get to the
some weird
5th
spire.
dungeon or whatever.
Yeah. And,
You think it's going to be very directed.
Yeah.
But palm
and
trees.
presumably Lake Hylia, which is always a mainstay since like early days.
It's quite a big body of water.
Yeah. And again, but like a lot of like, paths and wilderness and outdoors, big landscapes.
some scary monster up in there.
Yeah, that's kind of
Ooh,
a
I missed that.
cool skeletal looking
Yeah.
beast up
Yeah.
there.
I mean, all the stuff in the world is creepy looking,
Yeah.
but these ducks are normal.
Ducks, regular
Yeah.
regular ducks.
And those rocks together in the background, it makes you imagine like you can be at all those places.
Yeah, ducks and deer and moose. It's like there's so many. It's weird that there's so many natural animals in this that aren't creatures that you can kill.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, you
see
might
them-
be able to.
You could, but definitely
Kill a duck, you heartless bastards.
Definitely an emphasis on like just showing wildlife,
Yeah.
and hence the subtitle of the game, Breath of the Wild, referring to the world itself and not so much a specific item like the Wind Waker baton or
Not a story-related item or something.
Yeah, just like-
there's a bunch of cranes flying by.
yeah, just trying to show you how breathing
Oh,
and
look
alive
at that.
is big church
I
tower.
mean, that reminds me of like Assassin's Creed or something almost, that type of establishing
Especially
shot.
that screeching eagle.
the usual
Yeah.
Triforce wings of the bird.
And those same rocks in the background there, that big mountain split in two.
Yeah, we'll show that in a second. Actually, this might be a good time to point that out. That exact
Oh yeah, let's see this here. So
that exact scene. So you might recall this art is something that stuck with me as a kid. Zelda 1, like that sense of adventure back in the NES days when a lot of games were very direct, or arcade ports that were like one screen, or not a lot was going on, especially in console games. PC was a different story, but console games it was very direct. And seeing that art as a little kid, probably 7 years old maybe, it really just gave me this idea, this sense of adventure, and what am I going to find when I go out there? And that is something they specifically, Miyamoto was talking today at E3, like they want to get back to that, a less scripted, directed adventure, because even Skyward Sword started to get to the point where it was almost holding your hand on where to go. But then you look at Link Between Worlds, and it was very like, yeah, just do whatever.
go to here's all the dungeons. Go to which one you feel like.
Yeah.
But this seems even less directed. At least
Yeah.
in Link Between Worlds, they have that guy show up and who gives you directions. Like guys tell you what to do,
Yeah.
but this opening just dumps you pretty
Yeah.
much into this screen.
Yeah, into a huge open world. And Nintendo did make a point to actually show, kind of trying to actually go almost directly. We are trying to get back to the Zelda 1 feeling of dumping you in the middle of a big open world and go just poke and prod at things and figure it out and play the game and enjoy it yourself and not worry so much about which dungeon is first, which dungeon is second. And who knows, that it may bear out that you actually do need to worry about that a little, but who
That's
knows?
the perfect kind of spirit to get into in the 30th anniversary year.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
Oh, beautiful.
Again, just really focusing on the
Open your eyes.
Open your eyes, sheeple.
So those things can come to life, and they will. Like there's an amiibo of those guardians there.
Jeez, really?
So,
Really? Now
yeah.
amiibo spoiling games?
Well, that amiibo like even has the tendrils can move around and
interesting.
stuff.
Wow,
So yeah,
interesting. But this is also showing like there's is definitely a after some big event, because this is an enemy, a guardian, or enemy, I'm not sure, but just like some ancient relic that is covered in moss, and something happened long ago, and now you see this Hyrule that's pretty empty.
Yeah.
Which harkens back to Zelda 1, which takes place in the timeline as it was of Ganon kind of overrunning the area, and there weren't many towns in Zelda 1. That's more of a retcon of, well, why wasn't there a town? And why weren't there many people?
Humans?
Why are people hiding in caves? It's like, well, because it was super dangerous on the surface. So I'm wondering if that's what they're trying to suggest with this game.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some. And called Link directly, so they're not letting it be a name. Whoa! And
this is showing you, you jump off a cliff and just soar, and it's not like just one specific little pocket of a hub overworld. Like in Ocarina, there was this one area that branched into different spaces, and Skyward Sword was a lot of smaller interconnecting areas. This is like an overworld, which again, Zelda 1 was a big unbroken left to right grid.
And in Australia, you'll see all these things of like climbing up stuff, but this shows you what you get for climbing too, that you jump off and it lets you just fly to the next thing in a high-end glider type thing.
Yeah. And they showed on one of the streams too, you can use the Sheikah Slate, aka the Wii U gamepad.
Oh, he snuck up on that horse.
And you can select waypoints, and the idea of Zelda with waypoints and quests.
That's a classic image right there.
Yeah, go back in time. But that bridge, I mean, that just harkens back to the end of the original Twilight Princess reveal trailer, where where Link on Epona is rushing towards an enemy on riding a thing, and now this is just an empty bridge, and definitely they imply like there's a history here. Bad stuff happened in Hyrule, and Link's got to figure it out, I guess.
Yeah. But you can seemingly climb on just about any surface. You'll see him climb on trees. Buildings, rocks.
There's a dedicated jump button
jump button.
Have they ever had a jump button?
They said it's the first. Well, I mean,
so that looks like
that is the far off.
That's the far off mountain. That as a kid, it was always like, I want to go to that mountain and I want to see what's on that mountain. And like, it's been something that's been pretty common ever since. I mean, even Mario 64 kind of did that, where even in the first world, you could stand up on top where the bomb boss was, and stand up and look around and be like, I want to go anywhere in this stage. And open world games since then, GTA, Assassin's Creed, whatever, Metal Gear, whatever you want. Like, it's great to see Zelda kind of catch up to that. Because in the overworld games, Link to the Past or Zelda 1, you could zoom out and look at the map, Link to the Past, and be like, oh, I want to go there. And you could have that feeling, but it's not the same as experiencing it in a three-dimensional...
Yeah, I mean, the original Hyrule field in Ocarina of Time gives you kind of that feeling, but you do come to see it's not as big as it seems.
Well, it's not as big as it seems, and it's also like there's fake outs of like when you're in the village, the town, and you can see Death Mountain in the background, or you can whenever you do see Death Mountain, it's kind of like a dummy. It's
just a Disney texture on the wall.
Yeah, it's a Disney fake out, whereas you're not actually going to that same thing. Whereas presumably this is a world that has been generated, and the draw distance, that's it, right? Not going to get it faked out. And I mean, maybe there's some clever programming of never getting obscured, but who knows? We'll see. Orchestral.
Cutting down a tree to make a bridge. Pretty neat.
Also that axe even.
So there he is in his tiny clothes and killing animals.
Before we found out you could do an underwear run for Link.
Yes, you can do a naked run, undies only.
Set things on fire. Lots of burning stuff in there. Oh, and the cooking. Yeah. So this was definitely something I noticed in the gameplay we've all seen from E3. Like, there wasn't really any rupees. Like, there was collecting, but a ton of collecting stuff, and there is a limit to how much you can collect. It's not limitless. Yeah. But just all the that definitely reminded me more of like Western RPGs, like the Elder Scrolls games or Fallout.
Yeah, it seems much more derived from Western RPGs, or if you must make a Souls comparison. It's apt. It makes sense. A ton of gear and a ton of different things, and you'll even see in this video a lot of different weapons. Like, you already saw that axe. Bow and arrows gotten early. Obviously, we messed with rocks. But that's the Sheikah Slate, a.k.a. the gamepad.
I never knew Link would be the kind of D-bag who wears his tablet on his...
But they have to express the gamepad somehow in the game if it's going to be part of the game. And that does tell you if it's coming out, it is coming out in the same day on NX and Wii U.
As of this recording.
Yeah. That tells you the Wii U, or the NX has to somehow be able to recreate gamepad controls because the Sheikah Slate is so baked into the game. Yeah. The water manipulation, that's pretty wild.
It reminds me of I think Link to the Past has the create ice thing. Yeah. So it's similar to that, but I guess this you would need a body of water to make something to stand on.
Well, that gives you a good use for all the magnets too.
Yeah, a giant magnet. Let's go through that again really quick.
I'm literally asking how do those work.
Man, look at the colors, children.
And that's like fishing with the Sheikah's with the slate, like with his
yeah,
iPad.
you can see the slate in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the magic MacGuffin that can do all that. Ooh, and lightning falling down. Whoa! Hey, let's go back a little bit here.
Let's take a look at that again. I didn't even see that the first time.
It went by so fast. Yeah. Okay, so I gotta.
So those are things.
Oh, he must have just turned on a thing, and
you put the slate in that, and it activates and recognizes you as like, oh, you have the chosen thing. So that's clearly activating something way off in the distance.
That also feels like the empty exploration of like Shadow of the Colossus, too.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, with no humans, not many humans anyway.
All right, that's him seeing it turn on. And that activated. So that was a monster that came out of it.
Well, something, yeah. It looks like maybe a shape, or maybe horns up at the top, or maybe it might just be like wispy things. It does look like a Disney-like villain or Ferngully or
some
something.
sort of evil force.
Yeah,
I don't know, like who can say if Ganon is the villain of this, but you think Ganon is the villain.
You would think, yeah. That's when the stream actually did a weird hiccup. But again, a pole, more of a spear polearm thing than a not a sword, not just like this progression of one sword, another sword, master sword. It's like you can steal weapons from enemies.
And the sword is always central to your attack in those games, even when you would get, I've got an arrow, I've got a boomerang, I've got a hammer.
Yeah.
It was still like, you're not going to use that as your main thing. But this, you switch around so much, it seems like.
Yeah, that's cool. And then here you see that big, what is this, an axe?
Yeah, that's an axe. Cutting down the trees.
And this is a full set of armor, like Hyrule style.
Look at that.
Which just shows like you will get all kinds of gear. I don't know if they've said if it's crafting or not, but it's definitely a lot more things to choose from than red tunic, blue tunic, green tunic.
Yeah, there's no set Link look. I mean, that blue shirt's probably what you get in the beginning, but it changes up so much. Yeah. But that white armor definitely takes me back to original Zelda. By the end of the game, you've gotten that white armor that is your high-level armor.
Well, you get a blue ring that turns you white, and then you get a red ring that turns you red. That's like the final. That's why the red tunic always ends up being like the one.
And that's also those gloopy dudes first introduced, the Choo-Choos, first introduced in the Wind Waker games, and you will collect their goop again. Whoa, explosive arrows.
The explosion's really pretty, which we saw.
He built all those barrels.
Bill Trinan eat one of those. That looks nice.
A rock monster, and that's pretty good. And now that felt like Journey to me. This is showing like deserts are in this game too.
That's very Nausicaa to me. Like the whole thing reeks of Miyazaki, and I mean they said like, oh, Japanese animation inspired this. You know which ones.
But they're making it pretty clear. Like there's the mountainous areas, there's all the wooded areas, there's the lakes, and then there's a desert too. And
which has been there all along, but it was always kind of segmented and like you need to do different zones, and presumably this won't have such a clear mark of now you're in Lake Hylia. We will load all of Lake Hylia, but you are not technically still in Hyrule. You're in a separate zone that we have loaded into the...
Well, they also make it pretty clear in those games, like, here's the door to the next thing. You can't open it yet, or you just open it, and now you're going to go there.
Yeah, this seems more like a, Shadow of the Colossus, like, just walk around and see what happens.
Ooh, and the snow place, obviously. What's that?
Higher elevations.
Yeah, what's that flag all about?
It's like a chunk taken out of that mountain, actually.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, you're right. There's a lot. I mean...
Kind of Matterhorny.
If that giant,
I'll do that again.
evil power thing shows up, like maybe it can destroy mountains. Maybe that cut in the mountain or that space between the mountains was cut there by some evil force.
Yeah, or hopefully it's an environmental storytelling thing. If maybe you find relics or items or something that kind of alludes to what happened there, rather than an NPC with a wall of text. Well, this great battle years ago took a chunk out of the mountain. It was terrible. I was there.
Let me tell you some more.
So these, I think they showed on the stream. These are shrines that there are like 100 of them.
Over 100.
And, collectibles. And each of them has like, there's Riddler trophies inside there. No, it's like just little puzzles that you will use the items that you get, like, use the bombs to solve this little physics puzzle or other things, and you can, various rewards await, I assume. But again, that cool mix of like ancient but like glowy Tron lights.
There's AR in action. Yeah, and that's the 3 amiibos they showed are that.
3 amiibos.
Are that Link shooting the arrow, which is like the action pose from the cover, and Link riding the horse, which is also one that with a hood over his head.
So very ancient machines powered by magic, probably not necessarily technology.
But they all had moss grown over them, so they've been down for a while.
Yeah.
Whoa,
that's cool.
And then there it is.
The Mr. Sword.
Tranquil scene of Mr. Sword.
Yeah, so the Mr. Sword's been sitting there for a while. It looks also slightly overgrown, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's got the light shining on it. That's just like how you find it in the Link to the Past.
You guys were pointing out how weird it was that there's no like animals surrounding it, because that's kind of like
a lot of animals everywhere else. But it's interesting that they choose this. They have the split mountain. They have the Guardian's helmet covered with moss. Yeah. And the Master Sword also is kind of like muddy and tattered. So it suggests some kind of like, could this finally be like the latest game in a timeline where enough time has passed that like, chronologically, I think depending on which timeline you go through, like Zelda 2 is still the most recent in certain deviations of the timeline. Or what now? Maybe the other cell shaded Spirit Tracks, like certain ones are the latest ones in the series, so it's like I wonder, could this be the last one in one of those splits?
Well, since the Skyward Sword was the first game, I think it'd be interesting if the next console game would be the last game or the most recent game. And also I do like it's almost like a meta comment that it has been over 5 years since the last console Legend of Zelda original one, and so like it's their way of saying, it feels like their way of saying it has been a while, hasn't it? It's like
it's been a wild.
It's been a wild, yes.
But a tranquil ending to that. Just leaves flowing, grass blowing in the wind.
And they make a good point. Like Link just wakes up, he doesn't know anything. People complain, how people weren't happy that Skyward Sword began with like 3 hours of talking to you, and
it was a lot.
It was a whole lot. So this seems like such a response to that. Like you will wake up, you'll get maybe 5 minutes of explanation, and do whatever, man. Figure it out. Talk to this old guy.
But they've been showing this demo at E3, and it's 20-minute demo that you can run through and explore, and presumably they'll be showing it a lot of the show. But
more secrets to come.
This is what, next year? This is 2017?
Early 2017, Wii U and NX simultaneous release.
Yeah, man, they really focus on that split mountain a lot.
Yeah, it's got to be a big story point, not just nothing.
Yeah, I wonder if that mountain lines up, if you turn the camera, if it lines up with that castle with the beam in it.
I mean, that's totally a Nausicaa thing, too, like a monster like that can do it.
Yeah. That music sounds right out of Skyward Sword, even.
Yeah. Woo! All right. Oh, God. It's such a gorgeous game.
It does seem like a great mix of, like...
Very Death Mountain-y in the back.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems almost straight up Death Mountain. But, yeah, like this mix of, like, Western RPGs with the loot and the crafting and all that stuff, but with really an eye back to Zelda 1 of, like, we're just going to give you a world, and it's kind of been ravaged, and there's not a lot of people to talk to. And you just got to kind of explore it at your own pace. And there'll be NPCs, because when we did see that demo, it did start with an old man who basically says it's dangerous to go alone, take this.
Yeah.
And gives you an axe. And then even after that, you find a rusty broadsword. You don't get a proper sword. And there's no like, well, hero of time, get the green tunic. Like, it seems like you wake up in a chamber, like in Empire Strikes Back that Darth Vader's in when his helmet's being put on him, as if Link is almost being woken up from stasis or something.
Yeah. And the voiceover... is telling him to go to a place as well, a waypoint, but you don't gotta. All right.
Yeah, you could go. I did want to look at one other thing that happened here. I guess after this, Chica Stone again. So in the background there, it's just kind of red hills. Nothing particular.
I don't know. That looks kind of like a shape, like an location.
And so this is on the roof of one of the buildings they showed earlier, dropping the thing on top of them. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. You can kind of see in the background both Death Mountain and whatever that castle is. Man, gat damn. You can kind of see that castle, that the laser, that the purple Disney-looking Chernobog looking stuff.
Oh, yeah, I see.
So you can kind of see...
It's to the right of Mount Doom.
It's over there, and then
or left of Mount Doom, and
Death Mountain, Henry.
Death Mountain. I'm sorry.
That's not the Eye of Sauron.
I seem like such a dummy.
It looks like there was a cage or something in that area that they were fighting in.
Oh yeah, something in there. So yeah, that's the castle in question. But yeah, that's basically our look at the Breath of the Wild trailer.
Every fight should be on a narrow bridge, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this a lot. Like this seems like a very different Zelda game.
Pairing with your shield there.
Yeah.
Can bump them. But yeah,
and it looks real, but they haven't lost the characters. Like more realistic to it, but it still has a lot of character to the world.
Yeah. Oh, you can see Link there. Well, I didn't notice Link walking on the right side of the screen. I just thought it was an environmental shot.
It's gorgeous. There's a lot of stuff to find in here when you dig through it.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll be streaming. Not this, unfortunately, but we've been taking a look at other E3 stuff. But we obviously stream all week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday here on Laser Time Network. We've been bouncing back and forth between Twitch and YouTube, but thanks for watching, and we will catch you soon. Bye, everybody.